manufacturer's protocol dictates I cannot be captured.
Previously on The Mandalorian, which in this instance means reminding us of something that happened over 3 years ago. When you refer to something this old, it really just acts as a spoiler for what we're about to watch in this episode. Also making me relive the brutal death of Taika Waititi droid.
How can I atone?
According to Creed, one may only be redeemed in the living waters.
Oh, and by previously on The Mandalorian, I meant previously on The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Yep, they buried the setup for Season 3 of Mando in Episode 5 of Season 1 of Boba Fett. Dick move, Disney. But fear not, viewer, the TVSins recap service is at your disposal. Here's what you missed. Boba Fett in a Bacta-tank. Boba Fett whittling with Tusken Raiders. Boba Fett in a Bacta-tank again. Mando is exiled for not wearing his helmet, but is told how to redeem himself. Boba Fett is the king of Tatooine. You're welcome. Thinking that replacing Ludwig Göransson's epic opening theme with audio from the episode will make me more likely to hang around for the Star Wars helmet orgy. Also, do not Google Star Wars helmet orgy. Or if you do, tell them TVSins sent you. They'll know why, and you'll get a discount. Flaming, hammering, soldering, excitement? Maybe this is the adult who has to pay the bills in me talking, but this forge seems wildly inefficient. I'm not sure what kind of fuel you're burning to get these 12 pillars of blue flame, but if you're only using half of them, why not turn the others off? And damn it, shut the door. We're not heating the whole neighborhood. You thought it, we all thought it, which means the show probably knew exactly what it was doing by making this kid look like a young Din Djarin. Apparently Mando turning up to save the day can't be cool unless we don't see it coming.
I swear on my name and the names of the ancestors.
Brainwashing children. The decent thing would be to wait until he's an adult and can at least decide for himself that he wants to join your prohibitively controlling religion. I mean cult. Or creed. No, I really meant religion. Also, does he get another helmet after his next growth spurt? Because at this age, this one will last him maybe 2, possibly 3 days. Besides, part of the creed should be having to suffer through wearing hand-me-downs that are 5 sizes too big to jetpack practice. Now that's character building.
From this moment on, I shall never remove my helmet.
Never? We've seen Mando take his helmet off in private to eat food and stuff, so what gives? Unless Din has inspired an offshoot of the creed which is even more restrictive. More Mandalorians? Holy sh! How quickly does this water go from barely knee-high to able to accommodate a giant f***ing sea beast? And why didn't the armorer close off the beach weeks ago when Sheriff Brody warned her? Also, why are we holding a religious ceremony at a body of water where ocean crocodiles randomly attack? Were there no other ponds or swimming pools available? Imagine being a small army of Mandalorians and making this much of a meal out of taking down a sea beastie. They have f***ing jetpacks and medium-range weapons, so why are they ever getting close enough to get swatted and or eaten? I mean, these assholes appear to have entered the water during the battle. Mandalorians, the lasers and bombs seem to be ineffective, so our next strategy is to rodeo this bad boy with our grappling hooks. Sir, that doesn't make any sense and sounds extremely dangerous. I said rodeo time, people! Yeehaw! Okay, now the armorer is suddenly a dumbass too? I know she smoked some stormtroopers with her hammer and tongs back in Season 1 and it was totally badass. But when this creature has shown you that bombs, flamethrowers, and lasers are ineffective, in what world is your next thought? Stop. Hammer time. If there's one thing 2 seasons and an episode and a half from another show has taught us, it's that Mando kicks all of the ass and Grogu is adorable. I really didn't need you to sacrifice the first 7 minutes of your premiere and the reputation of Mandalore to reaffirm that.
If I visit the planet and I can bring you proof that I have bathed in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore.
How's he going to do that exactly? Take a living waters bathing selfie? I'm sure it's possible, but I'd also insist on seeing that in private for like 3 to 5 minutes for Sins research. Yeah, Sins research.
Then by creed, the decree of exile will be lifted and I would be redeemed.
Which is information you already know, so why are you here? This entire conversation is almost copy and paste what we saw during the Book of Boba Fett, thereby angering the fans who do consume every second of content by repeating shit they've already heard. My goodness, have we finally found a way to piss off every Star Wars fan all at once? I know I'm supposed to be impressed with this callback to the finale of Rebels, but honestly, I'm just annoyed I had to sit through 75 episodes of Rebels to get this reference. But also, damn it, this show is so f***ing gorgeous. And Grogu is so damn cute and I love the space whales and it's too much. My eyes.
Welcome to Navarro, independent trade anchor and outer rim hyperlink port.
Border agent's position.
Please state the purpose of your visit?
Here to meet an old friend.
If you accept a reason that vague, why even ask the question? This is literally the #1 response in the big book of what to say if you're here to do something shady. Especially weird considering he's here completely legitimately. Nice to see the Slicotron droid make a return, but I don't really understand its benefit in this street market. Don't these kinds of markets have the produce ready to go? And even if you are chopping things up to order, it's hardly busy. Does he really need a droid to do it? I think you've passed peak droid when this is what you have them doing.
Marvel at the black lava canyons or soak in the geothermal springs.
And this protocol droid is a walking advertisement? Look, I know a free market will do whatever it's going to do, but any walking box with a speaker could do this. Why use discount C-3PO?
The Belters are mining the asteroid fields at the edge of the system.
Belters, you say? Mining, you say? Well, that sure feels like an expansive storytelling possibilities you could rip off. I mean, be inspired by.
You and the little one? You can settle down, you can hang up your blaster.
Except you're about to ask him to be your town sheriff, so which one is it? Unless you expect him to do so blasterless and from a farm in what feels like Ohio. Grogu spinning himself in the chair is the most adorable abuse of the Force that I've ever seen. But it's still an abuse. Go on, tell me I'm a troll. Let the hate flow through you.
But you're still running around here with the same little critter.
Mando just told you his name was Grogu, so stop treating him like a pointy-eared gerbil. Remember when Grogu used Force healing to stop you from being poisoned in the season 1 finale? Exactly, so f*** you, Grief. Yeah, I said Grief. Not nice, is it?
I completed my quest. He returned to me.
Oh, you actually wanted to see that crucial bit of development? Well, you guessed it. That was in the almighty Book of Boba Fett too. I'm going to look into how blackmailing laws work in a galaxy far, far away because I think we may have a class action suit here. Having an entire bowl of just the orange ones. It doesn't matter what sweet treat we're talking about. No one likes the orange ones.
Yes, High Magistrate, apologies.
Your timing couldn't be any worse.
Really? You're basically catching up with a friend and this is the worst timing? Does Karga never drop a poodoo while on duty?
It's just that there's someone here to see you.
It can wait.
But it's pirates!
A group of pirates is threatening a school and C-3PO interrupts them as if Karga's mom is bringing him his lunch instead of, oh, I don't know, saying something like, there are pirates trying to get into the school.
Stand aside, droid. Don't you know who we are?
My first guess was that you're a de-aged pre-tentacle version of Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. I had my money on the X-Men being introduced before anything else, but I guess this was just as likely.
I forgot, it was your cut of my boss's treasure that built this salute.
Okay, but that's still his cut. Your boss doesn't have anything to do with it once it becomes Karga's. That would be like the UK telling the US, oh, that's right. It was your cut of the colonies that built this country. Wait, now I'm confused about how the War of 1812 plays into my poor example that I clearly didn't think all the way out. I can always just send England again.
Navarro will become the first truly independent trade anchor in this entire sector.
A free trade system wanting to remain independent instead of allowing itself to be ruled by a government from Coruscant, you say. I feel like I watched 133 episodes from a series about this very conflict. What was it called? Bone Stores? Zone Horns? Cone Tours? I'm sure it'll come back to me soon.
I need him back.
We were lucky to recover any of his parts after he self-destructed.
Right? I mean, let's replay that explosion. And we're expected to believe that anything was left intact, let alone his entire torso, head, and a whole arm? Why was the entire explosion channeled to his legs? Also, the whole point of that explosion is...
Manufacturer's protocol dictates I cannot be captured.
And this looks pretty f***ing captured to me. Also, it is deceptively dark that the people of Navarro chose to make the hero's memorial out of his salvaged corpse instead of, investing in an actual statue.
My asset to be terminated.
Fortunately, the helpful lights on IG-11's head give Mando just enough warning to get Grogu out of a potentially deadly situation that he shouldn't have been in to begin with. In the pilot episode, it took one shot to drop IG-11. Here, Mando hits him like 5 or 6 times with that same blaster, and he just keeps coming. Did the Season 3 writers not watch Season 1?
Now that's using your head.
Pedro Pascal's audition tape to play the next James Bond somehow makes it into the episode. Challenge you to give me a better reason for this weirdly out-of-character one-liner.
I think he defaulted to his old programming.
You think?
Karga would be the magistrate at TVSins.
High Magistrate?
Sorry, High Magistrate at TVSins. Eesh.
They'll have IG back to his old self in no time.
IG goes from definitely only useful as a paperweight to definitely going to be able to help you on a dangerous mission to Mandalore so quickly that I have to wonder why we even bothered to blow him up in the first place.
I don't understand. Do you speak Huttese?
He said it's broken, Mando. It's better English than I give at the Dunkin' Donuts counter first thing in the morning, and they still managed to get my order right. Do these helmets need ear holes?
What if I find you the part?
Okay, now, then no problem. We take.
You guys, that's very different from
Mando, he said he can't fix it.
I can't fix it is not I can fix it if you get me the part. Galaxy far, far away, and yet mechanics are still gonna mechanic.
Bad baby.
Damn it, Favreau. One sin off, but that's the last time this episode, probably.
And this
Is conveniently tied directly into the plot so that it could perfectly demonstrate exactly what it does, exactly when I needed it to.
Avast, Mandalorian.
I was going to send the Avast thing, but then I realized we've had an entire episode about pirates without a single cameo from Hondo Ohnaka. And I can't help but feel like if you're going to bring back Cad Bane, you got to bring in Hondo, or else this venture is no longer profitable.
Think Ferric.
His proximity alarm detected 3 ships trying to ambush them in an asteroid field, but it didn't alert them about this giant-ass mothership until they'd already seen it with their own eyes. Really is tied into the plot, isn't it? The internet, or at least the noisy part of it, seems to have a problem with the aesthetic of Gorian Shard here. Personally, I've always loved Fraggle Rock and would prefer this to CGI any day. Yes, internet, this sin is for you being too picky. Chill out.
Wave that thing around, and they'll do whatever you say.
The patriarchy. Also, so he should lead just because he won the Darksaber in a duel? Seems like dumb politics to me. Almost as bad as relying on strange women lying in ponds distributing swords as a system of government.
Go home.
Did we really bring back Bo-Katan just to mope around in a castle and be mad at Mando? Because if so, I'd have rather had another few minutes of Grogu spinning himself in that chair.
They're beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sundari.
The Civic Center? Mandalore had civic centers? Are you sure the mine is there and not under the fire station, police department, or DMV? Also, you couldn't have gotten this information from the armorer? At some point, you have to do the actual mission, Mando, not just mop up side quests from your favorite NPCs.
Then by creed, I would be redeemed.
Using your previously ing on and on to insinuate that the band Creed could redeem anyone. Also using 90 seconds to show me scenes and helmets I've already seen before. Also, why does the armorer get their shoulder fluff in the shot? No one else gets shoulder fluff. These two pod racers are terrible drivers. Why are they wasting so much time swerving around when they should be focused on tight turns and extended burns? Also, you can clearly hear a large crowd cheering in the background, so where are they? Is that noise piped in from somewhere? What is this, the NFL? Consecutive alsos. Is this a desert town? Wait, is that Mos Eisley? Oh, no, they tricked me. Disney snuck a Book of Boba Fett episode into my Mandalorian, didn't they? Bastards. We never heard a price exchanged between these two, and he's just giving her a random bag of what we assume are credits, which may or may not be any good depending on whether or not the mechanic operates under the Watto bartering system. My point is anything could be in this pouch, and we have zero idea how much should be in there. If all the droid was going to do to alert the Jawas was whistle, why didn't you just do that yourself?
Quickly, before he sees you!
You say this literally 6 seconds after saying,
Tell the Jawas the Rodian left.
Tell them he's gone, tell them he could see them. That's just terrible workplace communication.
Put those cards back on the speeder. Paint them so they look different.
This is a simple enough scam, so why do you even need the Jawas as the middlemen? Or middle Jawas? And isn't selling people their own back a Jawa trademark at this point? Both parties are splitting a job either one of them could do themselves just so the audience can get their Jawa fixed before Mando shows up.
She's purring like a nuzzle shrew.
Scene does not contain a nuzzle shrew.
Who taught you how to leap like a lerman, huh?
It's a good thing Grogu spent 2 years training with Luke so he could learn how to jump and do a flip.
Was that his first word?
Thanks a lot, Pelly. Now I'm aware that they're eventually going to ruin Grogu by making him talk. Preemptive sin this is.
Get right back here, scaredy droid.
Not understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your workforce. Pelly needs some management training, like, immediately.
And because it's Bunta, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you this for half the price and throw in a free oil bath.
Offering Mando a free oil bath without inviting us to... Wait, she was talking about the droid, wasn't she?
I thought you said it was built for adventure.
I'm torn. On the one hand, I'm glad we're skipping the fix the droid side quest before we get to Mandalore. But on the other hand, Dennis spent 2 seasons making a huge stink about not trusting droids. He finally builds trust with IG-11 and now he's just open to relying on random astromechs? That seems out of character. And since I can't decide which way I'm leaning, go ahead and take us in for each, just to be safe.
May the Force be with you!
The How does Peli know what the Force is? She's not a Jedi or part of the rebellion. This show went to such great lengths to show the Jedi were somehow forgotten after the Purge. Mando even called them sorcerers, remember? So which is it? Do people remember the Jedi or not?
It's Mandalore, the homeworld of our people. Every Mandalorian can trace their roots back to this planet.
Apparently, Grogu is quickly just becoming a landing vessel for Din to tell us all the Mandalore. Maybe instead of Baby Yoda, we should have called him Expositional Sponge Yoda. Trips right off the tongue, huh?
I've never been there either.
Then, how do you know it used to be
Once green and beautiful. And that's Kalevala, where we visited Bo-Katan.
I'm only telling you this in case there's some sort of rare emergency where I'm incapacitated and you need to run to her for help. No other reason.
A Mandalorian has to understand maps and know their way around.
Pretending that using graphic instructions on how to get from point A to point B is a unique skill set.
Looks like the fusion bombs from the Purge disrupted the magnetic field around the planet. From the surface, we won't be able to communicate with anyone out of atmosphere.
Meteorological plot obstacles. Meteoroploticals?
Go over to that split in the rock and take an air sample of the ruins below.
Wait, would the air below the rocks not be the same as the air above if the droid can just pop down in there? Does your ship not have sensors to indicate if the atmosphere is breathable? This whole droid companion thing makes more sense when you needed someone to watch your back, but taking a droid for air samples seems a bit like overkill.
Don't be a baby.
What a weird insult for a droid. Droids, like much technology, are likely at their highest level of operation and strength when they're first created. I know you hate droids, Mando, but the cultural insensitivity is just off the charts.
You can watch them on the scope.
It's a red dot on an unmarked circular grid, and honestly, what other information would you ever need?
I was hoping to avoid going out there.
But you'd have to go out there eventually, right? You can't bathe in the living waters from your cockpit, Mando.
Don't worry, kid. I'll be right back.
Pedro says this sentence so much in the shows he's currently in, he should probably just trademark this line and make some residuals on it. Being blessed with great equipment, but not knowing how to use it.
The charts were wrong.
What charts? So far, this is the only chart I've been shown. And if I'm being really honest, discussions on charts are about one notch above discussions about fuel levels. Taking your tiny companion into a dangerous unknown planet dressed as half of an avocado. Grogu copying what Mando does through this cave walk just a few seconds after he does it is just one more example of how completely the show understands the parent-child dynamic. And it's threatening to melt my Beskar encased heart, damn it. Wait. I know Disney owns pretty much everything, but does that include the rights to Metal Gear? Konami really did go to shit after Kojima left if they sold off the franchise rights for a Star Wars crossover. Also, you're telling me that whole mech suit was underneath the sand, upside down, waiting to pounce? How long would it take to set that up? And how could it possibly be worth it in this environment? Man, bet you wish you had Yoda's lightsaber right about now, huh? How's that little Beskar vest treating you? Well, I guess if they could bring back Maul several times, then General Grievous was always within the realm of possibility. His new suit sure is a downgrade, though. Now he's going to be windmilling lightsabers in that thing. If you're just a tiny blob of biological material around a single eyeball, how did you make all this stuff in the first place? Where did you get the pieces? Did you pickle Rick it and magically build an operational exoskeleton by tonguing a Mandalorian cockroach brain?
Get to Bo-Katan.
And this instruction should be enough for you thanks to the convenient map teaching I did on the way here. And don't forget you'll have to fly all the way there because of that damn meteoroplotical that's already in place. I will say, this whole section where Grogu becomes a playable character and goes on his own side quest is all of the awesome, and Grogu somehow continues to force pull sins out of me. Wait a minute, you can use the Force to smoke this guy, but not the robot? What exactly did you learn during your 2 years of training with Luke Skywalker?
An unscheduled visitor.
Pronouncing SCH as sh. Did you not pay attention in shul? Or are you too busy scheming schematics to steal a scholarship? I'm done schmoozing this schmaltzy schlockfest. Wait, those worked. Fine. Now I'm sending your schadenfreude. Damn it!
Maybe I didn't make myself clear the last time. I want to be left alone.
You actually didn't make that clear last time. At no point did you tell Mando and Grogu to leave you alone so you could listen to whatever the Mandalorian version of My Chemical Romance is and sulk like a teenager who ran out of their favorite eyeliner. Looking down on the apocalyptic remains of the city. Really is impressive how this episode is just The Last of Us Episode 8. Pedro Pascal is trying to teach a child with a special ability how to navigate and make it in an apocalyptic wasteland when he's taken out of commission and the child has to formulate a way to get help. And since that episode came out 3 whole days before this one, I have to send this episode for being such a copycat. Them's just the rules. Taking off your helmet in a dangerous place because it's time to speechify. Purposely landing in a puddle when there's dry ground a foot away. Needing a reminder from a child that flashlights are a good idea in a cave.
I knew quite a few Jedi, you know.
Using the "some of my best friends are Jedi" defense. Pushing your vulnerable companion into a dark corner you haven't explored because you spotted something dangerous in the other direction. As if danger can't simultaneously be located in multiple places.
Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?
No, Grogu met Boba Fett and your followers in season 2, remember? So obviously he knows Din isn't the only Mandalorian. And obviously you know he knows. And obviously I know you know he knows. Convenient lightsaber location is convenient. But also watching Bo-Katan slay with this thing is honestly worth any of the random convenience it took to get here, because this is bad freaking ass.
How did you find me?
Your last words to Grogu were literally,
"Get to Bo-Katan."
You've never eaten Pog soup.
No.
Can you appreciate the irony?
I cannot. Also, cut the man some slack. He didn't live through the 90s when those were briefly a thing. And even I didn't know you could make soup out of them.
Thank you.
Don't thank me until you see them.
Trying to control someone else's thankfulness.
What pains me is seeing our own kind fight one another time and time again.
Funny, you didn't seem that upset about the Civil War during Clone Wars. Having this in your possession and just now using it.
Hold on. I want you to get the full tour.
People who read the expositional signs instead of just enjoying the thing that the sign is about. The Grand Canyon's right there, Zeke. Not currently interested in the story of Gary the Gorge Donkey and his 3-month journey.
I swear on my name.
I teased Din for keeping up this silly religious creed stuff, but at least he doesn't use his faith as an excuse to be a dick to people different than him, so here's a sin for those that do. What do you call a Mandalorian that has to be rescued twice in one episode? A Dinzel in distress. Don't worry, I'm almost done. Cool shot, but should the no longer mythosaur be doing more than just watching this rescue? Does the water balrog get his kicks from just watching rescues as they happen? I guess what I'm saying is, Mithy, how's the peeping? How's the peeping? Mithy, Mithy, Mithy.
I swear on my name and the names of the ancestors.
The previous Leon feels the need to remind me of Mando falling into an underwater hole and Bo-Katan doing a belly flop. I kind of feel like all the courage and skill I'd given them credit for is actually just a proprietary blend of Beskar steel and plot armor. Understanding this armor is very tricky. Sometimes it does it all, and other times it does nothing and lets water in to almost drown you.
You bathed in the living waters?
Cool, he did the thing! But I'd really love to know why they're called the Living Waters and what makes them so special. Good thing we have this whole episode to really dive into the neat lore. I mean, it's gonna be really fun spending this entire episode with Mando. I can't wait.
Can I ask you something?
You just did, right there. That was your question. I swear that joke was funnier when my 3rd grade math teacher used it. Or maybe that just contributed to my paranoid nature, always expecting gotchas from everyone I meet.
Did you see anything alive?
Alive? Like what?
Nothing.
Why not just ask him if he saw the mythosaur? Din is obviously religious enough to care about being rebaptized. I don't think he'd doubt what you saw or mock you for it. There's absolutely no reason for you to keep this secret, unless you're saving it for a plot reveal in a later episode. And I swear to Revan, if this series ends with Grogu in a tiny Mando helmet wielding the lightsaber while barebacking Mithy, I'll assign 500 sins. Or maybe remove 500 sins. I don't know yet, but this is getting at least 1 sin.
I would invite you in for a feast, but I'm guessing that helmet isn't coming off again.
And I just realized how limited Mandalorians are during sexy time. Now it just seems like a depressing cult, especially for the Mandalesbians.
I've stepped off a lot of Imperial warlords.
That sounds just vague enough to cover the writers for not wanting to show or explain the origin of this surprise attack. I could never get enough of the TIE fighter noise. It's so badass. This whole sequence is badass, and the show deserves to be rewarded for giving Daddy what he likes. And yes, I'm sorry. I will never say that again.
Are you still up for the transfer?
I don't see any other choice.
Episode confirms that these helmets do in fact obscure your vision. Hold on, do you need to push a button for your jetpack or not? Because when you leapt into the underground heading to the mines of Mandalore, you didn't push any buttons. I don't care how it works, just be consistent. Was there a reason, other than the danger zone, that made Bo Maverick Katan wait so long to fire up the engines?
Not a scratch.
Nobody likes a bragger, Mando. I bet you're a real hoot to play Halo with.
Those mudscuffers bombed my home.
This is a big character moment for Bo-Katan, who's now lost 2 homes to bombings by the Empire. And it's all ruined by the word mudscuffers. This is catastrophic for such a war-weary fighter losing the last shred of home she had left. She's not Leia getting angry at Han and Chewie for comedic effect. Also, simply adding another syllable would have gotten you closer to the target, mutterscuffers.
That's a lot of ships for an Imperial warlord.
I agree. You should show us where they all came from so we can get a better idea of what you're all up against and why.
I'm sending jump coordinates.
Wait, jumping away was an option the entire time? Way to render the freaking cool dogfight scenes completely pointless. If they had jumped away before leading the TIE interceptors back to Kalevala, Bo might still have that big uncomfortable looking chair.
Where? Someplace they won't find us.
Is Mando talking about the viewer? Because saving a reveal for the end of the episode is the only reason to say this instead of naming the place. Welcome to Coruscant, the planet of over 1 billion phallic-looking buildings. We've got a big rock too, but you can't touch it. This is so cool. There's so many possibilities here. Is Grogu gonna get to explore the ruins of the Jedi Temple? Wait, where are Mando and Bo-Katan?
Sadly, my research was twisted into something cruel and inhumane at the behest of a desperate individual intent on using cloning technology to secure more power for himself.
No, you do not get to use my precious Mando to build a rickety Palpatine bridge. Just be Mando. Let the dead speak on their own time.
What my work explored was the hopes of combining multiple strands to create replicas that incorporated the best genetic attributes of both donors.
What is the thesis of this TED Talk? At first it sounded like it had something to do with the amnesty program.
The amnesty program saved my life.
But now he's talking about his research. Oh wait, it's about exposition, isn't it?
Though anything would be comfortable compared to the Outer Rim.
That's Outer Rimist. I've heard exploring the Outer Rim can be nice if you're willing to give it a chance, Pershing.
Empire, Rebels, New Republic, I can't keep track.
So say we all. Wait, is this not Battlestar? Where am I? Can this franchise finally show me how people don't fall out of these things like all the time, or why no one's hair looks windswept when they get to their destination?
You must be sure to visit the Sky Dome Botanical Gardens.
Chatty Uber drivers. Just let me stare at my phone awkwardly in silence until the ride is over. Thanks.
Have a good evening.
So when Mando said someplace they won't find us, he wasn't referring to the Empire, but the rest of the episode itself. Are Mando and Grogu coming back anytime soon? This is like Elaine and Jerry bailing on dinner with Peterman and leaving George stuck in the meal. The writers made us George. The top of this drink seems to magically remove itself by the time M34 hands it to Dr. Pershing. But I think we're all more concerned with how unappetizing this cloudy white liquid looks. I bet it's got a dumb name like Glacier Cherry Gatorade or White Cherry Powerade or Semen.
Uniforms did fit better.
I do miss the lights of hyperspace.
Episode reminisces about the good old days for all of the sometime. But it also humanizes the previously faceless and or voiceless henchmen that did the Empire's bidding, revealing details about who they are and what they care about. It's refreshing, helps expand the on-screen universe, and I guess is worth a send off.
Because of this, Coruscant is one of only a handful of city planets known as an ecumenopolis.
Trying to sneak this world-building exposition into the episode like we'd want to know more about the universe. I'll give this sci-fi door points for not being a whoosh, but a zhong is still super annoying. Imagine the cacophony that must engulf this apartment block every morning during rush hour.
Wonder why they have you down here.
Chatty co-workers. Don't you have some salmon to heat up in the break room microwave, Brian?
But, you know,
The asshole who still has their job after programming this droid to just haphazardly run into people.
So why not continue your research here?
I don't think it's something the New Republic would be interested in.
If they're not interested, then why did they have you talking about it in front of 50 million people earlier? They had graphics queued up and everything.
The ethics of cloning are complicated.
Yes, I know. We had 2 movies, 133 episodes of Clone Wars, and an ongoing series of Bad Batch, all covering this very topic. Can we spend our Mando time covering something other than cloning, please?
Live a little, Doc. It's not the Empire.
No, but there are still rules, right? If I go to the Field Museum in Chicago and try to ride Sue the T-Rex in an attempt to mimic my favorite scene from the Dresden Files and they throw me out, that doesn't make them the Empire.
Are you experiencing any undue stress due to work or personal matters?
Interlinked.
It would require authorization from the department. You could submit a C-1023 request, but I've never seen someone from the amnesty program make one of those.
This friendly yet contentious interaction, coupled with a doctor being treated like a robot by a robot in his therapy session, shows how easily the people of this world can get lost in the bureaucratic process. And by the end of the episode, we'll understand a little more how easy it is for someone without an anchor to be chewed up by the machine and or exploited by an individual. I think feeling the tragedy wrapped in this utopia is going to squeeze another sin removal out of me. But also, squeezing anything out of me is a sin. Elia did say the New Republic needed help, but I don't think fare evasion was so complex that the scientists of Coruscant were still working the problem. Pershing is staring at people like this is the first time he's ridden the New York City subway. Did he see no other species on the Outer Rim? Because I've seen other species on the Outer Rim, and I don't even live in this world.
Songs days, am I right?
The writers make this saying a universal constant, and I hate them for it.
I can do it.
Why are they being allowed to do it? Show wants me to believe that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, they had their own Mondays, am I right? But they didn't have an OSHA, an FAA, or whomever's responsibility it would be to prevent people from falling to their death off this thing. Why was this droid designed to deal with suspicious passengers by stalking them as if it were in a horror movie? Really putting those doctoral degree observational skills to the test, ain't you, Doc? Sneaking into a salvage yard on Coruscant to steal something from a decommissioned Imperial ship? What you're actually stealing is from this season of Bad Batch. Omega would be very disappointed in you, Jon Favreau.
I must have passed you on Gideon's ship 100 times.
Well, they say it's the journey, not the destination. We've spent most of the past 10 minutes watching these two walking and talking in public transportation, and now they're just talking about other times they were walking in the same place, but not together. Just saying, sometimes it's not about the journey either. What? You mean she was gonna betray him all along? This changes everything. How will the Star Wars universe go forward from...
Wait, this is a mind flayer.
This is a 602 mitigator.
A rose by any other name cliche.
You'll see some pleasant colors, hear a light buzzing, and experience a great sense of relief in no time at all.
If that's your goal, why not just get him some weed? You've basically just described every afternoon right before I record this narration. I mean, when I get done recording this narration.
She brought me there. It was a trap.
You are a real credit to this program. It's nice to know that for every failure, there's a success like you.
I don't think this character could telegraph any harder that Elia's some kind of double agent or spy. The writers might as well have had her eat one of those travel biscuits. Well, if this device is just meant for healing now and it's only used for low voltages, why even leave the option for it to go to 11?
I'm bringing you to a Mandalorian covert.
Oh, they finally remembered who the main character was. This was a very strange episode of The Mandalorian.
It will go smoother if you keep your helmet on. Trust me.
The entirety of my father's Birds and the Bees talk somehow makes it into the episode. Oh boy, I'm glad we're back to the main story so we can now watch Mandalorians do some walking. Well, everyone has to walk sometimes. Can't all be rocket packs, space battles, and blaster fights. It's an important and necessary... Oh, for the love of Grogu, come on, guys. This episode had so many cool things in it. It could have been a contender. It could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what it is, let's face it.
These are indeed the living waters.
All that walking just to watch the armorer test the pH balance of some water. Thinking you could show me anything that hasn't happened previously. Oh, you meant previously on The Mandalorian? Then say so. Also, 1 minute and 20 seconds of pre-episode shenanigans. Combine that with the 3 minutes of post-show shenanigans, and that makes 260 seconds of stuff in this episode that wasn't actually episode. That means over 14% of the listed runtime is stuff I didn't need. 14%! That should be illegal. Holding your Mando Olympics on the recently renamed Giant-Ass Crocozilla Beach. Also, are those guys on the left just shooting at the water? What kind of training is that? Is that how stormtroopers train? Easy now, this is just sparring, and you're using flamethrowers? What would happen if the other guy didn't use his at the same time? Your buddy would be dead. This is most certainly not the way. Did you transfer in from Cobra Kai before the reboot? Stop teasing a show. We all thought Grogu was force training with these rocks, and then it turned out to only be crustaceans. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Be careful when thinking about getting your rocks off, because sometimes you end up with surprise crabs.
Put down the rocks, kid.
Interrupting Grogu's lunch break.
He is too small.
I am his ward. Proceed.
Does Din being his ward make Grogu any bigger? What the hell does that non sequitur of a response have to do with anything?
The training darts.
And we just so happen to have one that won't fall off Grogu's tiny little wrists, because that's absolutely something we would use our limited resources for. This is the way.
Each has 3 darts. You may fire the darts in any order.
What does that mean? Like you can fire the third one first if you want to? Who cares? They're all right there on the same wrist and do exactly the same thing. And considering we find out in a bit that you fire by squeezing your fist, how would you select one dart over another anyway? Why would this moron kid stop at one dart instead of just firing all 3? I mean, other than the fact that every single match in the history of film has to pretend like we think our hero might lose.
Don't look at me, look at him.
Signing your kid up for paintball without explicit consent.
Ready. Begin. Point.
Didn't you just say...
1 round.
So why do these feel like multiple rounds? And why does the kid continue to only shoot once? And what even constitutes a catch? Does he have to make a common movement after securing the ball? And what about the ground? Sorry, I blacked out there for a second. My point is, this match is bullshit.
Did you teach him that?
Not me.
Imagine what other neat things Luke could have taught him if Grogu had stayed longer. I mean, sure, if he'd stayed too long, then Kylo would have murdered him, but surely he could have learned more than jumping before getting slaughtered. Not having any scouts looking out for danger on what will soon be renamed Giant-Ass Crocozilla and Hungry-Ass Velociraptor Bat Beach.
I'm out of fuel.
Oop, you've done it now. That's the Star Wars has another fuel-related plot alarm. We had to install it after The Last Jedi and Solo. It's an automatic TVSins. Sorry, my hands are tied. No, literally. Jeremy tied my hands and stuck me in this recording booth until I finished saying my lines.
It always gets away.
This has happened before? How incompetent are you as a community that you have children stolen from you by a creature and your only response is to once again see if the fuel will hold out this time? Okay, fine. Take your sin off while I'm distracted by my multiple eyegasms.
It would kill the child.
If they're still alive, you mean? Why is everyone acting like the kid that got claw yoinked hours ago by Mr. Fly McTeethy Beak would even still be in one piece?
You are too young to join them.
So please, stay back here with me on what has proven to be a very safe location.
Just as we shaped the Mandalorian steel, we shape ourselves.
Mandalorian steel? You mean Beskar? Why not just say Beskar?
We all begin as raw ore.
Giving the birds and the bees talk, but using a very inaccurate euphemism for seminal fluid that might confuse Grogu. Actually, now that I think about it, that's what should have actually been called Grogu. Oh, look, another flashback to Order 66. It's only been shown in Episode 3, Clone Wars, Rebels Bad Batch, previous Mandalorian episodes, and Jedi Fallen Order. Better get one more look at the Jedi slaughter just in case we missed something. Do you want Order 66 to become the Batman pearls of the Star Wars universe? Do you? Having a series of flashing lights above the elevator door that convey no information other than the set designer thought this would look pretty.
Everything's gonna be all right, kid.
Ah, sudden Ahmed best. Damn it, I'm not made of stone. Take another sin off for an awesome cameo. But if Yusa think we're gonna remove one more sin after this, Yusa stepped in big doo-doo this time.
Don't worry. We're gonna meet up with some friends of mine.
And I'm telling you this now without any other details so the fans will speculate and we might get a social media bump from it. Stormtrooper aim apparently extends to flying ships that can't even hit a target that is sitting still on the ground.
Mandalorian steel shall keep you safe as you grow stronger.
But won't it also tip him over? That thing has to weigh almost as much as he does.
You will grow into this rondelle as you grow into your station, Foundling Grogu.
Are you sure about that? Yoda and Yaddle didn't seem much bigger than Grogu. He might not grow as much as you expect.
Any closer and it will hear the ship.
How do you know its exact hearing range? Are you an expert on all winged life? Tell me, Bo-Katan, what is the average airspeed velocity of a laden swallow? Stealing a shot for your Fellowship of 7 from the much better Fellowship of 9.
How do you eat when other people are around?
How are you just now asking this? Is this the first time you've been hungry when people were nearby? Can we pretend the kid they're saving is related to Han so I can make a free Solo joke? No? Too late.
Wait until we clear the area.
He's my son.
Which means you throw caution for your kid's life to the wind? I'd love to give him the best opportunity to survive, but you know, Dad's got a dad. Well, I see somebody rated the old costumes from the Dinosaur sitcom. How long had those been in storage, since 1994? I'm certainly amazed that the kid is still alive after being inside another animal, but I'm even more perplexed by the fact that he's bone dry. Mandalorian armor is the absolute best, until the show needs to set up a Forge conversation about the Mythosaur later, and then it just falls off mid-flight. So much for the whole don't attack it or it immediately kills the child thing they were chatting about earlier. I guess that was only for when they wanted to ensure a boring-ass rock climbing sequence. Excuse me, waiter, there appears to be some Jurassic World in my Mandalorian.
Come, Grogu.
I don't think he needed to be told. His dad just got back from the war. Of course he's going to see him. Their whole YouTube channel's dedicated to this kind of shit.
And we have brought you 3 more foundlings in need of care and training. Is that so?
What? Are you serious? What, are you training them to be Raptorlorians? Or riding them like you're from House Manda Targaryen? All I want for my birthday is a scene showing the moment one of these idiots was like, hey, why don't we bring those 3 giant baby human eaters back with us in the ship? And then the others were like, heck yeah, Frank, what a baller idea. Certainly we've got everything we need with us to make this happen. And it makes so much sense in every way. Long live the genius mind of the Frankalorian.
I can replace what's missing, but not with its modern refinements.
What modern refinements? It was a regular shoulder pad. It's not like I had a mini Darksaber built into it. Careful with the sparks there, Armorer. There's not enough time left to accidentally trigger another expositional flashback.
But it was real.
She's not discounting what you saw, Bo-Katan, but you're not exactly providing any proof either. This would be like someone telling me they saw Nessie. Cool story, bro, but until you provide some footage that isn't a blurry photograph of murky water, the best you're going to get from me is a vague congratulations, a vacant smiling nod, and a quick look for anyone else in the room I can go talk to. On The Mandalorian. Previously on The Mandalorian. We talked about this last episode. Here, let me help. There we go.
I have no quarrel with you, Guardian Shard.
Oh, I wonder who's returning in this episode. Just once could we have a previously on that's a super non sequitur that has nothing to do with the episode I'm about to watch just to throw me off the scent. I'd sin it, but at least I'd be entertained.
Let's move the trade district closer to the shipping terminals.
That's a wonderful idea, High Magistrate.
Ah, yes. This is what we've come here for. The riveting dialogue needed to redraw district lines. Let me pull out my corporate coffee cup and slide into my office chair to really get in the mood. Also, that's a terrible idea. You should put them on opposite ends of town and fill the route between them with booths, bars, and brothels. Give the traders what they absolutely don't need but will 100% spend their money on. Gasp! The pirates are back? Thank goodness I was prepared by the previous Leons. However, would I have been able to handle the shock of this sudden and unexpected development?
Shall I begin negotiations? No. If we buy them off, that'll set a bad precedent.
Perhaps, but wouldn't pretending to negotiate at least buy you some time? Not all negotiations have to be short, Karga.
You get the citizens to safety.
The fucking butler droid? I know Karga is short a lawman, but seriously, Navarro has some sort of security or standing militia, right? How is the evacuation of the city being left to the droid that, last time we saw them, couldn't get his boss's title right? Also, imagine being so misguidedly vain that you commission a bust of yourself before hiring a personal security force. Why is this holo transmission thing set to like 100 times magnification? Does the incoming caller get to choose how intimidating they look based on the intent of the call?
Is that what you call gunning down my helmsman in cold blood? He shot first.
Okay, Karga clearly shot first, and given Star Wars history with this sort of thing, I don't know if we're being deliberately trolled or not. The problem is I'd either sin it and get mocked for missing the joke, or ignore it and get blasted for missing a valid point. Regardless, I look forward to 20 years from now when that first episode is re-edited to show that Vane shot first, meaning that whatever I do, I'll end up being wrong for at least part of history.
Well, now I will shoot first.
No! That's still not right! You're shooting in response to his alleged shooting first, which means you're shooting second. Why is this so hard?
My charts indicate that Navarro is an independent world.
Is this show attempting to make me believe that a central problem is whether or not Navarro is independent? How do you expect me to care about that when this entire universe can't solve choppy holograms? This may be the worst I've ever seen. Look at it glitching. Obi-Wan, you're my only hoping a droid to get out of trouble cliché. This brave citizen who isn't going to allow an orbital bombardment to interrupt his lunch hour. Okay, being bombed by pirates is less than ideal, but look on the bright side. At least now people will visit the statue and simply assume that it was damaged in an attack, and you don't have to explain how part of it was brought back to life and tried to kill a child.
Send out a directive immediately!
Considering this droid's track record with delivering news, send out a directive immediately feels uncomfortably vague. I bet there are 1,000 possible directives to choose from, so what if everyone gets a today is an unscheduled trash day directive instead of a get the f out of Dodge before pirates redecorate your home from orbit directive?
Can I use your viewer?
Using a viewer to watch a hologram rather than pressing it to your forehead and opting for your far superior imagination to retrieve the message.
I'm gonna forward this to Coruscant. Request permission to intercede.
They haven't returned a dispatch in weeks.
And they posted me here for exclusively expositional purposes, just in case the bar's TV is showing pod racing instead of news position for once.
Then I'm just gonna have to go there and talk to them myself. They can't ignore me face to face.
They can, but they likely won't, because we need to connect this episode back to that random one where the nice man got his brain spaghettified. Heaven forbid that was in vain, whoever he was. If the show is asking me to believe that Teva's interested in helping with any sense of expediency, they forgot to direct him to walk faster than a browsing pace.
Do not put any more stuff on that part of the desk. That's my work area.
Droids, using your metal pin to store your extra throat lozenges.
I am humbly requesting the New Republic to send a patrol.
I get the gist.
And I also don't want the audience to have to listen to this twice. Also, the internet seems to think that get the gist came from a French legal term used in the 1600s. Always fun to find out that the internet's wrong and that this colloquialism actually has origins from an even longer time ago and from much farther away.
I'm going down to the commissary. Can I get you anything?
Like a warm serving of Imperial spy plotting to overthrow the New Republic? Or maybe a bagel? A bagel of betrayal?
We have a backlog of requests from member worlds that have priority. I don't even know if we have the resources.
He makes a great point. I mean, who's going to keep that Barney Delphi base in business if all those officers are sent on pesky rescue missions all the time?
And by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it'll be too late.
Can anyone else smell the sweet yet obnoxious scent of a future previously on being sinned? I know I can. Officer Kane, are you okay? Why are you standing there looking like a self-satisfied villainous predator instead of getting back to work? Officer Kane, how's the rehab going? Hello? Wait, is that everyone? There's like a couple of dozen people here. How is that all of Navarro? Why is this place so important if it's only home to a population smaller than most Broadway casts?
How did you manage to find us?
Fortunately, someone I served with in the rebellion is amongst your ranks.
That's a weird way of saying, fortunately, you're all dumbasses and didn't think twice about keeping this Republic droid around. Also, how does Teva even know that Din took the scaredy droid from Pelly? Did she have to sign it over at the droid version of the DMV? This is the world-building shit we need to know, Favreau.
I gotta help the guy.
You can't do it alone.
Can't he, though? I mean, he's faced worse odds without the help of other Mandos. He managed to escape Moff Gideon and an army of stormtroopers with little more than Cara Dune, Greef Karga, Grogu, and an exploding droid. And look, Karga's already there, Grogu's with him, Bo-Katan is the new, less problematic Cara Dune, so all he really needs is a droid to blow up.
And our children can feel what it is to play in the sunlight.
Before they're hidden from said sunlight by having their heads encased in helmets they aren't allowed to remove, of course.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
I do.
I love how a community that's defined by its ability to follow a strict set of rules can't be trusted to not talk unless there's an appointed talking hammer situation at play.
Why should we lay our lives down yet again? Because we are Mandalorians. This is the way. This is the way.
This crowd is won over so easily they may have well been chanting, "What do we want?
Whatever the guy in front of us says we want.
When do we want it?
This is the way."
I'll use this to drop you in, and you will operate as a tight military unit.
Because I said so with such confidence, and that's worth 10,000 hours of training.
You lived there once, hiding in the sewers. But now, you can be heroes.
Making the assumption that anyone would want to be a hero rather than revel in the life of a glorious sewer rat shredder style. Think of all the pizza, if nothing else. I know pirates are going to pirate, but that was your buddy's food. Why waste snacks like that? Kick the server on their way back instead. That's the lesson here, I'm sure. How the f does that even happen? We know these ships have targeting sensors of some sort, so how did neither of them realize that they're being led into a friendly ship? Was a copy of the script blocking their sensors? Also, does Grogu really need to be on board for this shit? Leave him with Karga. Or f***ing anywhere that isn't a 10v1 dogfight. Straight up murder. Very nice of these chaps to politely not shoot Paz as he descends from the sky in the middle of the fight and allow themselves to be mowed down for the sake of entertainment. This individual has a jetpack.
Another engine down, and shields are failing.
Shields? What f***ing shields? What are the damn shields protecting if it isn't the damn engines? Listen, I never want to put a stop to hammer time, truly, but at some point this has got to backfire. Either she'll get caught off guard by an opponent with a range greater than 5 feet who doesn't have the situational awareness of an unharvested potato, or she'll damage/lose what I can only assume is a one-of-a-kind set of Beskar smithing tools. I know he doesn't have visible ears, but surely the Discount Gorn here has some sort of ability to detect sound or movement, right? How have I just now noticed that this giant-ass spaceship is being steered by a f***ing wheel? I mean, cool, but also how does that even work?
He's targeting the townspeople.
But in the most suspenseful way possible to give you plenty of time to take him out. Oh, so the Pirate King is just gonna let himself die over Navarro? This seems like a very peculiar hill to plant your Corsair in. Retreat was 100% an option here, and a great one when there's just one engine between you and an overly kinetic reintroduction to a Navarro mountain. Is that an actual pitchfork and an angry mob? We're not storming Beast's castle here. We're in a future with laser guns and starships. Why the f*** are you holding a pitchfork?
Do you respect my station?
I do.
Remove your helmet.
This might be the dickiest of dick moves to ever move a dick. Of course Bo-Katan is going to think this is a trick. And why put her in this position? The armorer could totally share this plan and then ask her to remove her helmet. This feels way more about the armorer swinging her hammer and tongs around than it does about anything else.
I was taught that the mythosaur existed only in legends.
Well, if that was true, then they would have called it the Legendosaur now, wouldn't they?
It's a fragment of Beskar alloy.
Are you saying that Moff Gideon was taken by Mandalorians?
No, he's saying that it's Beskar alloy. Now, you could make that leap, or you could acknowledge that the Beskar was left behind in the most obviously incriminating way possible so that it has to be a setup. But I have an odd suspicion they'll assume the worst. Space drama.
In order for her to wield the Darksaber again, it must be won in battle.
Instead of simply sending the 1 minute and 50 seconds of previously awning for being 1 minute and 50 seconds of previously awning, I'd like to send it for being the most contextually spoilery previously awning we've seen to date. If this had included a sad droid, a Back to the Future trailer, and a Saxaboom rendition of About Damn Time, we wouldn't have needed to watch the episode at all. Also, 1 minute and 50 seconds of previously awning. Transporting a fish in a champagne coupe instead of a flute, or the much more appropriate Bordeaux glass. Not giving us an explanation as to why the captain's the only one that gets a tank and the rest of these fish holes just have to be dry.
You see, we were already hired by a certain Mon Calamari viceroy.
I apologize if we've seen this at some point in the past, but calling your obviously Piscine-flavored species calamari.
I can't destroy everything I've built for a childish fling.
Is that all this was to you?
That's not what I meant.
When did this become the CW's Mandalorian?
They've taken control of the ship. I guess we're going for a ride.
Mando and Bo passively let the episode turn into a side quest.
This is interesting.
Careful with your exuberant adjectives there, Mando. A 2-minute recap followed by 3 minutes of calamari does not an interesting episode make.
Welcome to Plazier 15.
Making your planet sound like a prescription-strength hemorrhoid cream.
Please proceed to your Hyperloop pod.
Disney bet hard on the monorail in Lost, so now it's shifting gears so it can cash in on all the Hyperloop hype from 10 years ago.
Please do not attempt to leave the vehicle. This is not a request.
We're going to learn a lot about how much of a paradise this world is, but somehow no one's ever voted against the whiplash-inducing dramatic timing of these Hyperloops.
Come! Everyone, special guests, Mandalorians.
Listen, I love Lizzo and Jack Black, but whenever Star Wars does these type of cameos, it's like they're pulling the curtain back on the whole production to say, hey, look who it is! Takes me out of the story every time.
I hope you like secretions. Take a little sip.
Secretions.
Plazier suffered greatly under Imperial rule. My husband came here as part of his rehabilitation.
Okay, let me get this straight. Captain Jack here worked for the Empire and as a rehabilitation/penance was sent to a planet abused by said Empire where he managed to marry his way into the royal family and be an elected leader? How many war criminals do you know that were given their own fucking planet to rule?
Could I perhaps hold the baby, please?
Lizzo breaks character and they just decide to keep it in the episode.
He doesn't take kindly to strangers.
Saying this instead of, this baby might be able to kill you with its mind. This series seems confused about what Grogu's supposed to be. Sometimes he's a baby, sometimes he's a Jedi, and other times he's just a puppy.
We held direct democratic elections for the first time in our history.
We are both royals and elected leaders.
Yeah, but earlier the automated thingy said,
Welcome to Plazier 15, the Outer Rim's only remaining direct democracy.
And if you're electing representatives, then that's not a direct democracy. That's a representative democracy with direct democracy institutions. See, Mom? I told you YouTube wouldn't be a total waste of my college degree. Are you proud yet?
Respectfully, what does this have to do with us?
Katie Sackhoff's question to the writers about why the characters are even in this situation somehow makes it into the episode.
The Mandalorian garrison outside your city walls can make quick work of your battle droids.
Our charter forbids any standing army from entering our city.
But somehow that same charter is totally fine with an Imperial cruiser, complete with shuttles, camping up just outside of the city on a f***ing technicality? What's to stop them from hiring more mercenaries and building an army that way? Sure, this keeps the citizens of Plazier 15 safe, but it doesn't do much to prevent that pesky Imperial tendency to dominate the galaxy.
The people have voted we are a pluralistic society. You are Mandalorians. Weaponry and armor are intrinsic to your culture, are they not?
I don't think you're using pluralism in the way that you think you are. Yes, being pluralistic means that you're accepting of a variety of political and cultural ideologies and even incorporate them into your system of ruling. But you don't have to be pluralistic to allow visitors from other cultures. This is like bragging that you're an all-you-can-eat buffet and therefore the only type of restaurant that allows people to bring in their own food. It might be true, but it has nothing to do with the buffet. I also might be hungry. Also, I'm fine with exploiting loopholes, but this loophole applies just as much to Axe's Mandalorians as it does to Bo and Den here. I see no reason why you couldn't have asked them to clear the droid problem as Mandalorians in exchange for the defense contract.
Clausier 15 would formally recognize Mandalore as a sovereign system and petition the New Republic to recognize it as such.
You mean the random planet that happened to have hired the Mandalorians that Din and Bo need to find also just happens to be in a position to help Din and Bo complete their mission to unite Mandalore? What luck!
The mercenary captain, Axe Woves, indicated that he split from you because you had designs on ruling Mandalore once again.
Why the f did that come up? Why would Axe be chatting about the life goals of his predecessor with a complete stranger that shouldn't give a shit?
Those plans have been abandoned.
The offer stands nonetheless.
Dude, she just said those plans have been abandoned. Why are you standing by this as an offer instead of cash?
You had me at battle droids.
And you lost me at the Jerry Maguire reference.
These droids were all reprogrammed to serve the community.
Great Scott! This is how we get Doc Brown in Star Wars? I mean, it's about damn time, but in a minute, I'm gonna need a explanation for the Mando cameos. Feeling foresee.
Why not turn them all off?
The citizens voted against any interruption in droid services.
Reminding me that we live in a world where I can't send this vote for being unbelievable and stupid.
The Ugnaughts.
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 Excitement?
I am Bo-Katan Kryze.
I knew it! I once had to re-record a whole video because I randomly started calling her Bo-Katan instead of Bo-Katan. Then the other characters in the show started calling her Bo-Katan, so I figured maybe it is Bo-Katan. But I mean, she definitely says Bo-Katan here, and she should be the one that knows, right? So why do people keep saying Bo-Katan? I mean, Katan. Tan-Tan.
We were sent on behalf of the Duchess and Captain Bombardier to help you with your droid problem.
Mando lets Bo-Katan fail multiple times at communicating with the Ugnaughts instead of speaking up first or telling her.
I've spent time with Ugnaughts. There's a particular way to communicate with them.
For this episode, the writers decided to make Din a real Mandalorian.
We were engaged to hunt down and eliminate the malfunctioning droids.
There are no such droids.
These aren't the droids you're looking for in a Star Wars story, cliche.
They've indicated that there's a likelihood that the next event will be at the loading docks.
But what the hell are they basing that on? I get that they can track the malfunctioning droids, but how are they able to predict when it's going to happen? Especially since this malfunction ends up being triggered by Mando himself. Holy inevitable Skynet uprising, Batman. That is a lot of droids. Is having them loaded and unloading one box at a time at a pace slower than Michael Myers really the best way to utilize them? You have a whole battalion of battle droids that are less efficient than one forklift and a pallet. There are a billion droids here, and of course, this works on the third one that he kicks. Bo-Katan was ridiculously and uncharacteristically slow on the draw here. Mando gets knocked the f*** out, and she waits until the droid runs past her before drawing her pistol, as if she knew this episode was lagging and needed a chase scene. Mando ducks so that this box can kill the people behind him, instead of scratching his precious armor.
Keep going!
All of the impossibly perfect, there's no way he could have predicted when the droid would pass by the window and perfectly self-defenestrate himself to victory bullshittery that we just witnessed in this stunt.
I don't think they get many of our kind here.
We got a sudden record stop, and now this line. Man, this show is hitting all the notes in its composition titled Entering a Bar Cliche.
Stay where I can see you.
Oh, come on, Mando. That's asking a lot when you're talking about a helmet that limits your field of view to about 12 degrees.
You can't reason with droids.
Their behavior's programmed. All they do is reason.
Bo-Katan could lead all of Mandalore at TVSins.
There are concerns among my customers that we will be replaced.
By what?
Humans.
I'm not sure if it's a compliment or an insult that this robot thinks the only species that could replace it are humans. Also, for some reason, this droid's calculations didn't factor in just how lazy humans are. If ChatGPT is any indication, it's obvious that we're much more scared of writing essays than we are of the robot apocalypse.
We don't want to be replaced. We still have a lot to contribute.
We get all of this world building and a fascinating sneak peek into the lives of this very specific group of droids on a planet we've never seen before, but when it comes to the Force, we get f***ing midichlorians. Great. Yes, I'm still sending the prequels.
What's Nepenthe?
I'm sure the droid will have the actual answer, but I'm willing to bet it's exactly whatever the plot needs it to be to make this side quest make sense.
So Nepenthe reprograms the droids that drink here?
It patches the programming as the commands of the mainframe change.
Let me get this straight. Organics created droids to do the work of organics because droids can be optimized and don't need downtime. But then those same organics created a social bar situation as a way to send software updates in the form of imbibements. Why? Why isn't this just downloaded? I mean, congrats on creating a system of rolling out software patches that's more convoluted than Windows Update, but Why? This feels like a needlessly analog filing system for a robot.
These are the remains of the latest malfunctioning droid.
On this episode of CSI The Outer Rim, droids need a coroner for some reason. Why wouldn't they take the droids back to the Ugnaughts workshop?
The particles are definitely present.
What are the chances that they're still active?
No less likely than them activating at the perfect time to answer your question, I'd say. These lasers conveniently, yet inexplicably, bank straight upwards, allowing Bo to get away unbifurcated.
They're actually nanodroids.
How did nanodroids get into the Nepenthe?
Oh boy, I can't wait for the answer to that.
The chain title says it didn't arrive on Plaisir through droid acquisitions.
Wait a second. It didn't go through droid aqua.
These droids were ordered by an individual, our head of security, Commissioner Hellgate.
The long and short of this is that the malfunctioning droids are caused by nanobots, and there's only one possible person that could have ordered them. So how the was Hellgate ever expecting to get away with this? He didn't even try to throw Din and Bo off the trail. Also, isn't it cool that the computer was programmed to do a slow reveal of Hellgate's image to match the tension of the moment?
If I trigger this failsafe, it will convert the planet's docile workforce back into battle droids.
More like a fail unsafe. Am I right?
Okay, let me get that for you, milady.
Using living things as space bocce balls.
This planet is unrecognizable since he arrived.
Yeah, but how is his scheme to reprogram droids going to change that? This is basically just throwing a tantrum. Only this tantrum results in more damage to the planet he claims to love and banishment to a moon.
As for now, you must live in exile on the moon of Paraquat.
We finally get Christopher Lloyd in Star Wars, and this is what you do with him? You banish him to a moon? Star Trek made him a Klingon and had Captain Kirk kill him.
I also give to you both our highest honor, the key to Plaisir.
Do they always just have that thing on hand? Didn't seem like they were expecting them to turn up right now, let alone turn up with the mystery solved.
Then what's your play?
I'll know when I get there.
For the record, this is a terrible play. Forgive me, but reuniting a civilization so you can reclaim your home planet should require slightly more prep than I'll do it on the night.
While exploring Mandalore, I was captured, and this blade was taken from me. Bo-Katan rescued me and slayed my captor. She defeated the enemy that defeated me. Would this blade then not belong to her?
What the were you saving this story for? You have the whole thing laid out with all the justifications and you were keeping that in your pocket? Bo could have just died fighting Axe body spray over there. What the Mando? 1 minute and 29 seconds of previously awning. Nearly everything about this establishing shot is awesome, but its blade runneth over. These probe droids are a notorious Empire staple, so how does one descending from the heavens not raise all of the Empire's up to some shady red flags? Or is this little critter permanently chilling out around here like an emergency break glass in case of exposition button?
Report.
Would it kill people to just once use a damn screen instead of a hologram? Especially in a situation where you're trying to be sneaky and perhaps don't want to be visible from 360 degrees? Also, am I supposed to be surprised that Moff Gideon turns up in the penultimate episode of The Mandalorian? Because this is exactly what happened in Season 1, and that brings us one occurrence away from it becoming a this is the Shay?
And make it quick, as I am short on time.
People who waste conversational time by telling people that they're short on time. Before we continue, Kane's report doesn't need to be any more than the following. Mandalorians, including Din Djarin, defeated our pirates on Navarro. That's it. 9 words. So I'm adding us in for every word over 9 that wastes Moff Gideon's time. Continue.
Sir, I'm afraid the pirates have run into trouble on Navarro. It wasn't the New Republic. Magistrate Cargo was aided by Mandalorians, according to the reports received by...
Why do the police sirens in this alien world in a different galaxy look and sound exactly the same as ours? All right, for this room, I want to go with something minimalist, but also brooding. So, lots of concrete and fall hazards, of course. And instead of gaudy accents or wall decorations, just have 2 soldiers staring deeply into each other's eyes. You know what? I love that last one so much. Put a set of those every 10 feet. Are we supposed to care about these tanks? Probably. Am I going to care about these tanks? No.
The New Republic is vulnerable, but we must be cautious and show no sign of our true strength.
We now bring you to the expositional hologram argument already in progress.
Grand Admiral Thrawn's return.
Did you hear that? That was the sound of a million geeks nerdgasming all at once. And on behalf of all of us, here's a sin for the unwelcome cleanup operation we have to embark upon.
And provide Commandant Hux enough time.
Oh, mustn't forget to name drop the dude that's the father of the other dude that's being played by the brother of the dude that played the other dude, is how I imagine this scene was written.
Perhaps it's time we look to new leadership.
Project Necromancer is in place for that.
Project Necromancer. Why didn't they just call it Project Super Evil Plan to assert galactic villainy and murder puppies? Also, instead of being far, far away from the sequels, we're trying to fix the past like this is some kind of hot tub time machine. Writers, if you wade into those waters wearing this much armor, you risk developing some rust.
3 Praetorian guards. Sounds like someone is concerned about an assassination attempt.
Yeah, but you are talking to a man that's just recently escaped arrest by the New Republic, has a feud with the most dangerous race of warriors in the galaxy, and whose 10-year career goals make Sauron's master plan look like a Dr. Seuss adventure. So, yeah, I'd say he's a target, and maybe 3 guards with fly zappers isn't too much to ask. Considering all the shit that went down with those pirates a few episodes ago, I'm going to say these people are not nearly concerned enough about this ship flying overhead. And how has Grief done nothing to maybe get a big freaking ship alert before they're in spitting distance of his office?
An Imperial shuttle is advancing over the city.
What? That is clearly not a shuttle.
First, that's a light cruiser.
That was a trap.
Look at the markings. See those, my friend, are Mandalorian privateers.
I thought to be a magistrate, you'd have to be at least familiar with the concept of lying. A few simple markings, and he's like, no problem, come on in. All it takes to get into his planet is a big-ass fake ID, using your companion cube to steady your vacuum cleaner.
I hope these 2 groups get along. They've never met, and what little they know of each other, they hate.
This comment, along with the 2 minutes of ship planning we had to sit through, made me think that this initial meeting of these 2 groups would be interesting and dramatic.
Let us prepare a feast for our guests.
And was not.
That's all the way from Coruscant, so you might want to wait for a smaller gathering before you open it.
Or, you know, no gathering at all, considering the whole no eating, no drinking with your helmet on deal. Come to think of it, gifting alcohol to a Mandalorian is a pretty dick move considering they have to drink it alone.
That's not the only gift I have for you.
That's a strange way to say I've created a wearable battle bot for Grogu from the carcass of your friend.
What did you do to IG-11?
No, that's IG-12 now.
You can't expect to get away with removing features that people want and replacing them with shit they didn't ask for by just increasing the model number each year. Well, I mean, you can, but only if you don't mind being called an apple. I mean, an asshole.
Well, he's too little to operate this.
Actually, he's the only size that can operate this thing. But the confusing bit has to do with the fact that Mando's opinion goes from "you're too little" to "follow me into battle" by the end of the episode, seemingly based only on Grogu's ability to terrorize a street vendor.
Maybe when he's older.
No.
What do you mean, no?
No.
Grogu learning his first word and continuing to troll Mando is just hilarious. How do these 2 get even more adorable with time?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
This isn't working for me.
Your apprentice puppeteering the husk of the planet's savior to steal fruit? I should hope so. And why are we being forced to watch this instead of what's going on with the 2 groups of Mandalorians that hate each other's guts?
Mandalorians, it is time to retake our homeworld.
Is she going to do a rousing halftime speech? I mean, it'll get us in for being a cliche, but I do love me a good rousing halftime speech.
The remaining magnetic interference has made it impossible to scan the surface from above atmosphere, which is why I'm proposing that we leave Navarro and move the fleet into orbit above Mandalore.
False alarm. Just your standard expositions then. Also, you don't know what's on the planet, yet you're going to park your entire fleet above it? I'm no expert in military strategy, but it seems like there might be 1 or 2 situations where that's a bad idea. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a trap?
I need volunteers from both tribes.
Writers make us suffer through the required hesitation until our brave and selfless Mando finally stands up and volunteers, thereby unlocking the logarithmic growth curve of volunteering until we're all standing on our desks. And not a single one of these assholes says, "Oh, Captain, my Captain."
I will go. Grogu as well.
I don't think Mando understands how volunteering works. Also, sometimes Mando wants to protect Grogu, and other times it's just like he wants to put him in harm's way. I mean, I'm fine with either. I just wish it made sense for the character and not just the story. Once everyone agrees to join the Journey to the Center of Mandalore expedition, we have just over 5 minutes of departing, transiting, arriving, sitting, falling, and ordering before anything vaguely new or interesting happens. Yes, the fleet and the ODSTing look cool, but could we have also had some conversational meat on the bone between these opposing factions?
We'll lose comms shortly.
And conveniently.
We'll survey the surface until we find the forge and create a safety zone.
Does this require you to subject us to more footage of Mandalorians getting their 10,000 steps in? Because you said...
Magnetic interference has made it impossible to scan the surface from above atmosphere.
And now we don't know what's preventing you from using your space plane to scan the surface from a lower altitude. This barge of badassery thing is f***ing cool. Can't wait to see many adventures with this awesome... It's not going to make it to the end of the episode, is it?
They punished us as a warning to the whole galaxy.
Because we refused to surrender.
That's not true. I did surrender.
This shocking revelation is played like it's going to lead to feelings of betrayal among the surviving Mandos and possibly further division between the factions. But nope, everyone's super chill about it because we waited until the penultimate episode to get here and don't have time for pesky things like character development.
After our forces were annihilated in the Night of 1,000 Tears.
This event isn't called the Night of 1,000 Retellings of How Many Times Do I Have to Hear About Mandalore Being Bombed? We get it, it sucked. Also, 1,000 sounds like a lot, but it really isn't when you put it in terms of tears. 2 tear ducts per person means 500 people at most cried over this tragedy, and that's assuming they only shed 1 tear from each eye.
Those of you who are well enough can join us in the search for the Great Forge.
We can do better than that. We can bring you there.
All right, finally some excitement. Hoist the topsails, batten down the hatches, and other boating terms. Let's go! Damn it!
Should I step in?
Neither side can step in.
Which is something Mando should know, but conveniently doesn't. And something the audience doesn't know, but could have figured out from context clues.
No.
This welcome break in the monotony of boat life is tainted by the confusing physics aboard this vessel that allowed Axe to be attacking from the port side in this shot, then starboard side in this shot, then back to the port side in this shot.
You taught your apprentice well.
You didn't learn that from me.
This response to Grogu stopping the fight is super confusing coming from the person who a moment ago said,
Neither side can step in.
So is Grogu's lack of creed some sort of bureaucratic loophole, or did he just out himself as a spy? Either way, everyone's being okay with this seems like some convoluted bullshit. I guess this ship has been returning to the fleet for the past 3 minutes, and that's important to us for reasons other than this discount interstellar shot, but we won't find that out in this episode. So in the end, this is just more waiting for something to happen during this very exciting retaking of Mandalore.
There! On the starboard bow!
I do have to wonder what the point of a spotter is if the plan post-spotting is to just plow forward with no attempt at course correction directly into the thing that they tell you they've spotted. Did someone on the writing team not want them to have the cool boat anymore? Because otherwise this doesn't feel like the big deal it should be. We have no idea how many Mandos were injured, and it turns out they abandoned ship at a pretty ideal place to continue to the Forge on foot. At least that'll be the only pointless sacrifice of this episode.
We're not far. We need to go further down.
Making us momentarily believe this might be a major setback, only to reveal that the creature just helped them get off at the right exit. The momentary coolness of this idea quickly faded once I realized the big reveal of everyone having Mandalorian armor just makes this your typical same versus same matchup.
There's a split in the ceiling there. I'll lay down cover.
Now, I'm no Mandalorian, nor have I fought in anything scarier than a pillow fight, but I've seen this cliche enough to know that covering fire works by you laying down a ton of fire, which causes the enemy to hide and in turn provides a small window of time for your buddy to do what they need to do. This was mainly Axe watching Paz kill people. These Beskar-laden jump troopers suck a little less at shooting than the normal ones. It's as if Star Wars is trying to blame stormtrooper aim on the fact that their helmets didn't have the split down the front, a feature that I thought was only there for increased visibility during urination. This individual appears to have been committed to walking backwards off of this ledge before they were even shot. Also, this individual has a jetpack, as does this one. This rocket man flying right into this clothesline may be the first ever example of stormtrooper piloting. Instead of attacking or defending, this guy uses his face to blaster style because they trained him wrong on purpose as a joke.
Okay, kid. You've got to keep up.
But why is he even here, though? No other Mandalorians brought foundlings on this field trip. This completely unnecessary jump shot. Moff Gideon makes his sexy boy WrestleMania entrance, and I believe we're supposed to be impressed that they've added rockets to a Darth Vader. Or not, but we might have been had they not already added rockets to everyone else.
I have created the next generation Dark Trooper suit, forged from Beskar alloy.
Does he need to exposit about how the Empire is just getting around to making armor out of a metal alloy instead of a PVC pipe? Probably not.
And the most impressive improvement is that it has me in it.
Saying this instead of showing us an actual upgrade. Holovids or it didn't happen, Moff. We cut to Grogu just in time to remember Mando's bad parenting and acknowledge that he came all the way down here in a mech suit to do absolutely nothing. Wrap them up in as much pretty packaging as you like, but stormtroopers will still just blindly run into the oncoming fire instead of using any kind of cover or advantage when the story needs them to.
Go! There are too many.
Paz will then kill every one of these Storm DeLoreans on his own. So, no, there aren't too many. Also, I guess no adventure would be complete without the needless sacrifice of a fairly well-liked ancillary character. This one feels especially needless considering everyone's already escaped, and if the jump troopers want to pursue, they'd have to pass through a nasty bottleneck. Look, if you've got a martyr boner, then just say so, but don't make it out like this was your only option. These individuals have jetpacks. The Praetorian Guards show up just after the battle to make sure that no one ever finds out how wrong Paz was about the number of jump troopers. Episode contained very few spies. Or so we think. Dun dun dun! In 1 minute and 40 seconds of previously awning, we see a bunch of stuff about clones, forges, and Darth Beskar. And even with all that, the most surprising thing is that before he died, the writers had Paz call this big hole.
The split in the ceiling there!
You deserved better. Rest in peace, sweet prince.
Use the capital ship as a decoy. We can't beat them in the air. We have to beat them on the ground.
After Paz's overestimation of the number of Imperial troops in the last episode, I don't trust Mandalorian math anymore. It seems like X always equals martyr everyone and everything. You know what would have saved the Imperials from having to deal with all of this? If they just killed Mando when they had him dead to rights in the previous episode. But instead, they chose to take him to the debriefing room alive for reasons?
No.
Grogu Bottica ex machina. Also, Grogu was with the other Mandalorians during their escape in the last episode. Did they just lose him and not bring it up or show concern in any way whatsoever? How dare you let our precious Grogu out of your sight? Not giving us a functional reason why these TIE interceptors have to be stored in a way that requires the pilot to do an immediate 90-degree turn upon takeoff.
Sir, the fighters and bombers have launched.
The Mandalorian chooses to have a character relay that the fighters and bombers have launched, even though we, the audience, just saw the fighters and bombers launch. This is information we already have, and we can believe that Gideon was told this. It's annoying enough the show is cramming this final battle the whole season's been building up to into 35 minutes, but yet we still have to waste some of that time with the previously on segment and now bullshit like this? Why, Mandalorian? Why? Let's talk about these helmets. They have no locking ring to connect the suit, but they still make some kind of pressurization sound when people put them on. Is it suctioning to their faces? Is it applying moisturizer? Why is sound?
R5. Come in, R5.
Last we saw, R5 made a hard left getting off the gauntlet when they first arrived. I thought maybe they went to take a piss and then got back on the ship. But now we see that Mando just had R5 roaming the barren wasteland of Mandalore all on their own, just so there'd be a super convenient droid to provide maps and unlock doors and the such. And somehow, that worked.
You're gonna have to scomp into the base.
I just had to look up scomp and I still don't know what it is or means. So this is a sin for my poor research skills. Seems only fair. These droids always sticking their phallic metallics in unfamiliar ionic electronics. And I'm fairly certain they never have consent.
Got it. Good job, buddy.
Oh, hey Mando. What happened to...
Sorry, I don't speak binary.
I don't speak it either, but it really felt like you understood exactly what was being said there. These shots of the Mandos flying from the cruiser to the gauntlets are, as Andre 3000 might say, ice cold. How did the Imperial ships not run into the Mandalorians' dropships? They literally went down and came out of the same cloud. Pointing all your guns skyward when you're being attacked from below.
There's some barrier shields. I'm gonna need you to deactivate them one at a time.
But why are there all these barrier shields? I get from a visual perspective, it's fun to have each one lifting, and the Mando fights off a couple security guards behind each one and collects weapons like it's a video game, but it also seems highly unnecessary, if not impractical. Why not just have one shield at the end of the corridor? That's all you need. Also, are the troopers not able to hear through the shields? Because they should be able to and should have already heard Mando issue his orders to R5.
Open the shield! Open the shield!
What took these guys so long to react? Mando's been fighting their co-workers for a good 30 seconds. In this shot, R5 does not have his third appendage down, but in the next shot, it does. R5 really needs to have better control of his appendages. It's gonna get him into trouble one of these days.
R5, next shield!
Mando requests the next shield before he is properly dispatched to this gentleman to create tension surrounding R5's interaction with the repair droid. He's yelling at R5 to open the shield as if his life depends on it, but in actuality, he has to deal with this trooper first before he's even ready to move on to the next set. Two of these droids are so flabbergasted that they just drive right off the edge. Were we supposed to feel something about that? Sadness? Humor? Bloodlust?
That's not Gideon. Those are his clones.
Which is great, because there's nothing Star Wars fans love more than an attack of the clones. It's funny how clones always know when you're staring at them in their tanks. They've got this sixth sense for when it's a good time to do a jump scare. But on the other end of that is an equally terrified clone whose first sight in this life was Grogu in his robo-suit. So here are 2 sins for 2 jump scares. Mando does a bunch of button mashing and the tanks just explode? Why is the water explosive and how is that even an option?
We've taken refuge in these surface caves since the Purge.
Now I want a Purge movie set in a galaxy far, far away, and I'm sad because I know that will never happen. I want my Purge Wars. They can blame the Empire, but I think these assholes that can't go 5 minutes without using a jetpack are the ones responsible for scorching all of the plant life on Mandalore. This inverted infantry charge is all of the cool, but the Mandalorians advancing really seems like a threat easily handled by a couple of TIE interceptors. And we just so happen to see 2 of those bad boys just hanging around right here. I know they're the tools of a trade, but Armorer and Hammer here should know that tongs are not the right tool for every single job, unless they're sonic in nature, but that's a sin for a different time.
I was isolating the potential to wield the Force.
Writers sure are dancing around just saying midichlorians. Oh, goody! We've got 2 badass-looking Beskar-suited individuals who could have all kinds of fun weapons, but we're just getting some punchy stuff. That's fun. Also, it's amazing how content everyone is with punching people in a helmet. It doesn't make sense in football, and it doesn't make sense here. Now, groin punches, those would be much more effective in both scenarios. Good thing they only sent 3 Praetorian guards. Any more would have really f***ed up this entrance.
No.
The wild thing here is that Grogu uses the no button instead of the Force, and they still decide to not run Mando through before giving chase. Or they saw a baby in a robot and decided that was the bigger threat, which I agree with, actually. Casca's slide move is cool, but how does this result in her not being positioned below the platform and out of line of sight with her pursuers? The guard's inability to defeat a child, even a Force-capable child, undermines the threat they pose, making this almost comedic while at the same time undermining how hard Paz fought against them before he lost. Grofu is an awful lot like Yoda-fu. Seriously, is this episode trying to rectify Attack of the Clones? Because I assure you, Star Wars, that can't be done.
I've got this. Go save your kid.
Bo has been nowhere near this fight, but somehow knows Grogu is in trouble. The set pieces were nice enough to respond proportionally to the need for Grogu to get trapped under something. Mando is now holding the business end of the same weapon that went through Paz, and nothing we see or hear in this episode is going to explain how this is possible.
You did good, kid.
Except for that whole wait until the last second to use the Force thing, but otherwise, good job.
Hand over the Darksaber, and I'll give you a warrior's death.
Why would you do that? Why would you ask that? Episode kills the cool saber.
Mandalorians are weak once they lose their trinkets.
I mean, except for the Beskar armor and the elite fighting skills, but yeah, weak, I guess. Sorry, I have to ask this once again, but why the Force isn't forcing Grogu using the forcing Force the whole forcing time? I get that this is a bigger fire, but is it a hotter fire? Because this show spent a lot of time showing people in armor not getting burned by fire. And if this is all just to set up Moff's eventual return, I'll send it again when that happens.
And the words of the creed shall be forever forged in my heart.
Are the words with arms wide open? I hope the words are with arms wide open.
You are now Din Grogu.
Yeah, that didn't make the name any better. Might have actually made it worse. Din Grogu sounds like the least popular ramen flavor at the local noodle place. The Mandalorian 2, The Way of Water. Bo-Katan will now light the Olympic flame, and everyone will chant as if victory has been won. But defeating a common enemy will only get you so far. Eventually your differences will creep back in, and Axe will get upset at a board game again. For Mandalore.
I am here to serve and protect the citizenry.
It's very nice that they brought IG-11 back, even though most of, if not all of, the important parts have been replaced. At this point, he's essentially the droid of Theseus, and I'm not sure if he's enough boat to protect Navarro from an army of pirates. Din Grogu is a Din Dick to frogs. Also, this ending is so Forrest Gump that I'm surprised the frog didn't float away on the wind.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
All I asked for was a frickin' rotating chair. I need an old priest and a young priest.
If Master Obi-Wan caught me doing this, he'd be very grumpy.
This is a school.
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
We'll put down our weaponry on the count of 3.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
He said they don't make them anymore. They're very hard to find.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Spelunking? Where do you use spelunking?
Spelunking for pork rinds.
That thing got a hammy?
Don't be a baby.
Who are you and who are you calling baby?
Be right back. Don't worry, kid.
You see, you push the laws and you end up dead.
They have a cave troll.
What's wrong? Snake! Snake!
There. The entrance to the mines of Mandalore.
This, my friend, is the home of my cousin Valid, and they call it a mine. A mine!
This is no mine. It's a tomb.
Too much to drink.
Come no further. You are an apostate.
Yeah, that's what your mom said last night.
What the f was that? Splitting the throttles? Coming around.
You want to touch it?
Are we allowed to?
Aw, is this your first time?
Do you still find your current housing situation comfortable?
Interlinked.
Jinjarin claims to have bathed in the living waters.
Is this true?
One time that happened.
Welcome, Bo-Katan of Clan Kree. This is the way.
This is the way.
One of us, goo goo goo. One of us, goo goo goo.
Boulder feels conflicted about fighting a young blind girl.
There. The nest.
And here I thought we were smart, just using a holo map.
Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song.
The piece that I've always worried about the most is the crux, the hardest part.
Well, sir, there's nothing on Earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail.
Mandalorian shard. I knew that Corsair looked familiar.
Now, what starts with the letter C? Cookie starts with C.
It often takes a new perspective before one is able to see the light.
Don't believe them. Don't trust them. They are dying. Let them die.
Does anyone else wish to speak?
I'll use this to drop you in, and you will operate as a tight military unit.
My unit. The boy who lived, come to die.
How you doing, fellas? Stay in school and use your brain. Be a doctor, be a lawyer, carry a leather briefcase. Forget about sports as a profession. Sports make you grunt and smell. See, be a thinker, not a stinker.
And I will always love you.
Slimy? It's satisfying.
A new life awaits you in the off-world colony. The chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and adventure.
Why do they have Imperial droids on an independent world?
Because you'll love them and they'll love you.
Oh yes, new cities, homes in the country. Your woman at your side, children playing at your feet. And overhead, fluttering in the breeze, the flag of the Federation.
Ciao, Bella.
Earth, wind, and fire! Do you yield?
I don't know what that means.
Hello, and welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family. My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus.
Report. And make it quick, as I am short on time.
Actually, you called me.
Oh, hell, let's just do what we always do. Hijack some nuclear weapons and hold the world hostage.
That's right.
That's IG-12 now. Do you like him?
This is some f***ed up, repugnant shit.
Grogu is too young to operate heavy machinery. Maybe when he's older...
Exterminate!
What do you mean, no?
Exterminate!
Mandalorians.
I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror.
Remember your training! And you will make it back alive!
What is this place?
Shandell, love. Could it be a trap?
I will create an army that will bring order to the galaxy.
There's no order, no discipline.
It's a jetpack.
Will you cut me loose?
My dad needs my help.
I'm gonna need you to be brave for me, okay?
I'd rather not.
Surprise, motherfucker.
RoboCop. Who is he? What is he? Where does he come from?
Thought this was gonna be a street fight? You're goddamn right it is. Mandalorians are weak once they lose their trinkets.
If you want me to wear 37 pieces of flair like your pretty boy over there, Brian, why don't you just make the minimum 37 pieces of flair?
You shall do my wonders.